East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And, of course, we got Stat Guy and Jay here today. How's it going, gentlemen?
Fair to middling. I mean, we took the loss yesterday. I know we're going to get into that, so I'll hold off on that. But not too bad, man. Let me just say this, though, for all you lawn companies out there, you sons of guns. If you're going to come to my house, at least do a damn good job. This half-assed, I want the beautiful lawn on the bag or the commercial. And I don't know what the hell you're giving me, but this is horse crap.
Well, when your yard's been a swamp since you moved in, they can only do so much.
Hey, whose side are you on, damn it?
I feel like that's just
I get it. I get what you're saying. And it is true. I mean, what you're saying is not true. So, yeah.
Hi, Miss Freebird.
All right, Jay, since I was in the middle of my thought before we went live, let's get into Houston and Detroit.
Let me finish what I wanted to say, though, because I know what you're saying. Let me just paraphrase what Stat Guy was saying, because I wanted to finish that one thing with you real quick, and then I'm going to give you the floor. Stat Guy was basically talking, we were talking about the Houston Astros, and we were talking about how they left Verlander off the rotation, and Stat Guy's position is they should have kept him in the rotation because he will excel in the postseason, which, first of all, Stat Guy, you're totally 100% correct. I don't doubt that for one bit. But what I will tell you this is, Blanco, especially if you saw him yesterday when he came in for middle relief, lights out, locked him down, striking him out, picked up right where he left off in the regular season. Verlander was kind of hobbling throughout this year. Again, he's got that neck injury. I do think he could be a valuable part of that rotation. The pitching lineup. I just think it's where I would much rather use him in that middle relief where he could dominate that middle relief and I could get more innings out of him and let the younger guys who aren't as injury prone like Blanco, Brown, and Kikuchi. I think if we combine it that direction, then we're going to get the most out of Verlander rather than throwing them right into the rotation because I don't know if 100%. If you look at his pitching, I mean, the guy's battling like around 4-something ERA. Blanco's around 2. Hunter's around mid-3. So is Kikuchi. So I felt like that rotation would have been perfect and then sprinkle Verlander in at the middle relief because he is a little older. And I think you're going to get a more healthier version of Verlander.
So here's my stance on it. Hunter Brown has pitched relief before in the postseason. Justin Verlander has not. Even if you get a 4-inning start out of Justin Verlander in an elimination game, it's still a better option than what some of the other people can give you for 2 reasons. He's 17-12 all time in the playoffs with a 3.58 ERA, which it's a respectable ERA. It's not like what he would typically do during the regular season, but 17 postseason wins. He's a top 3 pitcher all time when it comes to postseason wins. The one stat that stands out, though, in 6 career elimination game starts, whether it's Game 7, whether it's an elimination game where the Astros have to win, Justin Verlander is 4-1 with a 1.21 ERA, 5 earned runs, and 43 innings. It doesn't matter how he struggled during the regular season. It doesn't matter if he's not 100% healthy. In an elimination game, you need to give the ball to Verlander. Even if it's only for 4 innings, it's still 4 innings that even if he shuts Detroit out for 4 innings, you just turn things over to Hunter Brown and he can finish the game off for you.
Yeah, I just don't know that the way he was pitching coming into the postseason that I would have wanted him to take that opportunity. But I get your point on that. And I think if anything, I was even telling Bo that Fromber, I almost would have been, to see what you're saying. I would have had then at that case scenario, I would have had Verlander, Blanco, and Kikuchi, and I would have used Hunter Brown and Fromber then in the middle rotation because the reason why is Fromber last year gave up 19 hits, 12 runs, 0-3 in the postseason. So obviously that's a tough guy to even put up against Scoble, which, like I was telling him, you know how Scoble is Triple Crown. I mean, that guy's amazing. So I guess to your point, I would have used Verlander, Kikuchi, and Blanco, and then had Verlander, Fromber, and Hector Neris as my middle relief, along with Ort, and then had Abreu, Presley, Hader. And I think that would have been a great lineup. So I guess to your point, that would have been perfect,
I don't think Houston I don't think at this point Houston's even asking Justin Verlander to give him 6-7 innings anymore. If you have like Houston's going to be if Houston advances, they're going to be in a situation where you don't go with a 5-man rotation anymore. You only go with a 4-man rotation the rest of the postseason. So essentially, one of your starters is going to get bumped to the bullpen as it is. So why not go with Verlander? You get 3 innings out of him, you get 3. You get 4 innings, you get 4. You still have another starter that you have in the bullpen where if you need him to give you 3-4 innings, it not only saves your bullpen for an all or nothing game 3, but it also gives you an option where you may not even need your bullpen. Or if Verlander leaves with a 1-0 lead and then you bring in Hunter Brown or you're bringing Framber Valdez, chances are you're going to win anyways.
You know what's crazy to me is, even if hypothetically, Houston doesn't advance beyond the wild card. Let's say they get knocked out in the wild card. What's amazing, I guess what it's giving me hope right now is that when you look at next year, Houston's going to have some serious depth at pitching, because next year we get Luis Garcia back, we get Christian Javier back, we get Urquidy back, and then you got to mix in Framber, Blanco, Verlander. I mean, these dudes got seriously probably 7 to 8 legitimately good starting pitching, and that could be used as some trade bait for draft picks to build our farm system back up. So I'm hoping Houston will play that correctly, and which I think they will. I mean, Houston, unlike Dallas, actually has good management.
I think
they keep Verlander?
No, I think Verlander's going to retire.
If he retires, I'm totally okay with that. But if he comes back, I don't know if Verlander's going to go out like that. I think that guy's got a lot of pride in him. I don't know if he wants to end being left up a playoff.
I mean, he's 41 going on 42. So, I mean, looking at what he's making this year, I think he's still making $30-some million this year. Yeah. There is not another team out there that is going to sign a 42-year-old starter for $37 million.
And I don't remember his contract, but is he on a 1-year deal, or does he have more than 1 year on
this is it. This is the final year of his contract.
I could see Houston letting him go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wonder if he wants to retire, obviously no one's going to think twice about it. But I wonder if he would do, a situation, especially because he has been injured as of late, if he were interested in coming back out of the bullpen just to extend his career.
Yeah.
He's been a starter. Yeah, I mean,
John Smoltz did the same thing. Yeah. I mean, he could definitely pull a John Smoltz and go to the closer and just give him 1 inning a game. That would be perfect for Verlander.
I think,
and he could play for a few more years doing that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's more so how long does he want to play, and being that he's going to be a Hall of Famer regardless what he does at this point. But
he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
I think he still has the pride where he wants to start. So if he does hit the open market next year and he finds the right situation, I could see him signing with the Yankees because his wife is from New York. And even if the Yankees sign him to like a 1-year, $15 million deal, if it doesn't work out, he gets to retire where they're living anyways in New York City. But if he
and even if you're injury prone and your game falls way off, whatever, I'd take a $15 million payday to suck and not really play.
Right. And even if
that's right. I mean, who wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah,
and if you get paid in a state that has no state tax and things like that, your mother give you goes further. And I don't think Verlander stays in New York. I think when he does ultimately retire, I think at least if he's smart, he goes to a state that doesn't have as high a tax rate. But
if he ultimately hits free agency,
but it's interesting to me. I think even still though, I think next year, even without Verlander, and that's another, like you said, that's $30 million extra dollars. They could use that $30 million and go get a really nice left fielder to take over in that left field spot, so they can slide over Alvarez to be a straight up DH. So that would be interesting.
Yeah, and I think even if Verlander hits the open market and he doesn't see a scenario that he likes, I don't see him just signing just for the hell of it. I think at that point, he'll just call it a career. He's pitched for 19, 20 years already. He's been to multiple World Series. He's gotten multiple championships. He's one of the top 10 pitchers of all time when it comes to right-handed starters, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's nothing really he can accomplish anymore at this point besides stat chasing at this point. Where if he's
and to keep baseball money coming in.
Well, yeah, obviously, but he's not going to have to worry about that. But in terms of just when it comes to like what he can accomplish,
his wife has more than enough money, right? I mean, I think they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
at this stage in your career, you can get paid to do nothing, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
But he has nothing to accomplish anymore at this point. If he does sign another contract, it'll literally just be stat chasing at this point, where if he has a certain milestone to reach or a certain amount of strikeouts to get to move up to the next spot, that's literally all he's going to be accomplishing at this point in his career, because he's
I don't know if that's true. He still has fingers that don't have rings on them.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, on the right, no, seriously, in the right situation, you can't tell me if he's on a playoff squad, the right situation, he wouldn't take on a closing role or even maybe a middle relief role, whatever, and continue pitching that direction to get another ring. I mean, all competitors want that kind of thing, right?
You are always wanting another ring.
For sure. If you're not wanting another ring, you're in the wrong business, right? I mean, come on.
Exactly. Yeah. All of a sudden, you are the Baker Mayfield. Our culture is for fun instead of Brady. That's like, yeah, if I wanted fun, I'd go to Disneyland. I was there to win rings.
and then just kind of going.
If Verlander really wants to keep money coming in, I'm pretty sure there's a nice broadcasting booth spot right there for him that they're going to pay him nicely. So I don't think money coming in is an issue.
He'll make plenty of money after his career.
Oh, for sure.
And then when you go further on like his elimination game success, like I said, he's 4-1 with a 1.21 ERA. And it comes to the elimination games, they also do kind of like an overall game score where they grade like how a pitcher performs based on just the amount of strikes and the success they have. Justin Verlander has 2 of the 3 highest rated elimination scores ever with Sandy Koufax mixed in. And Justin Verlander's 87 in an elimination game is the highest of all time.
Look at Stat Guy finally bringing some stats to the show.
Yeah, I did my homework.
How's it going, Pags?
Not too bad. Got to get to celebrate the first all-inclusive playground done that was built at my old elementary school. So I went to my old elementary school, and when you go back to your elementary school after like a whole bunch of years, it looks a lot smaller.
Oh, for sure, for sure. When the water fountain comes to your kneecaps.
Mine's actually bigger. They bulldozed it and rebuilt it.
Oh, wow.
I actually don't know.
My elementary school is still there. I think that thing's been there for 30, I guess now it's going on 40 years. Yeah, it's still there. Hell, I still talk to my first grade teacher. I don't know why she still wants to talk to me, but she loves talking to me.
That's because you're still in her class.
I see what you did there. Well, Bo, you never stop learning, okay? The mind is a sponge.
Yeah, no, in fact, all the schools I went to have been tore down and rebuilt at this point.
Yeah, it's funny, when the high school I went to, my uncle was in the first graduating class. He was a fullback for North Shore High School, and that was like 1964. So, I mean, Jesus, I mean, that high school's still around. They use that. I think now it's 10th and 11th, or 9th and 10th, and then the new high school is 10th and 11th. They got so many students, but it's ridiculous, like how much in population has grown, right? I mean, this school's probably got anywhere from 5,000 students, and so they have to divide it in half. I mean, it's crazy.
No, and that's actually exactly why all of mine have been tore down and rebuilt, is to be able to have more students there. So
what's interesting is the intermediate school that my wife teaches at. It's so old, right? It's the oldest school, I think, in Conroe, right? And Conroe, if you know about Conroe Independent School District is bigger than all of Boston. That's how many kids are in this school district. I mean, it's like a massive, massive school. Anyway, what I was trying to point out is Elvis Presley actually played a concert at that high school. It used to be a high school, then they converted it into an intermediate school. So when you go down the hallway, there's pictures of Elvis Presley sprinkled around. I mean, it's crazy.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It's historic, but then when you look at the building, it smells like old mothballs. So I don't know. I mean, it's old.
You're really selling this. So you're saying that Elvis is still in there somewhere. Elvis is in the building. That's why it smells like mothballs.
Oh, it's just that old. I'm pretty sure it's the asbestos residue that's left behind.
That actually explains a lot. Is that where you went, or?
Oh God!
Come on, you got to stop giving me softballs here.
Hey, listen, man.
I have to swing because my team isn't playing.
He's giving you layups right now.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so tonight you got a lefty versus righty for them. Detroit's going to throw out Holton, and Houston's going to go with Hunter Brown. So should be interesting to see how that plays out.
To watch you guys lose. I think you guys get eliminated tonight.
I doubt we're going to lose. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But I mean, you have to put some respect on.
And I'm not even trying to talk smack on you. I'm not trying to talk smack on you. I think Detroit's got you. I think that Detroit's just
why
playing.
Do you think that? Like, what is driving that?
I think it's like a matchup issue for them.
Yeah, okay. I think that they're just you're running into a team that's playing some inspired baseball, and I think that they're going to wind up just beating you guys. Not like Beach is bad. It's just I think that they just win. And they knock you guys out today. I think that you guys had a tough pull having to play Detroit because they just been playing really well lately. And
I totally agree with that because, I mean, we are going up against our old manager, AJ Hinch. Actually, Espada was actually put into place in Houston by AJ Hinch in 2018. And then, of course, Hinch was let go. And then Dusty Baker actually inherited Espada from Hinch. So these guys know each other well. I mean, these teams know each other well. I mean, right? My thing is this is why I think that you could be wrong. And I'm not saying you're completely wrong because you do have some good, valid points there. But what I saw yesterday was this. If you look at that game, like I was telling them, Scoble is the Triple Crown, right? He won the Triple Crown in pitching. He's going to be the AL Cy Young. This was a guy that if you didn't get at least 3 runs on him, you probably weren't going to get the win. And it actually turned out to be 3-1. But what I liked about it was after Scoble left, Houston's hitters dug in, and there was 3 times when we actually could have won that, right? They had, like I was telling Bo, they had two batters on in the 8th, two batters on the 7th, 2 batters in the 8th, and then ultimately we had bases loaded, 3-1 bases loaded, and we actually really had a good opportunity that a base hit could have tied it up and gone into overtime. Now, if that is against their number 1 guy, that tells me that Houston is not giving up, that Houston has all the fight there is. And if you look at the way Houston's season has gone, it's been up and down, right? And again, Framber Valdez, like I was telling Bo, wasn't exactly the guy I would have had go up game 1 against Scoble because, like I was telling him, 19 hits, 12 runs in last postseason over 3 games. You know, the guys had a hard time in the postseason. So I probably would have opened up with either Blanco or somebody else that has a little bit more toughness to them. But it is what it is. Game 2 is going to be tonight. But I like the fact that Houston has fight. And as long as the team has fight and they haven't given up, then I know that there's hope and they can turn this around. But tonight is going to be, like you said, tonight's the elimination game, so they got to do it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you have 2 games, and you have to be perfect in both.
Yeah, you do. They absolutely do, for sure.
It's why winning the first one is so important.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Detroit's going to be the same way. They got to be perfect in games 2 and 3 if it goes to a 3rd game, right? Because they're going to get to 2.
They don't have to be perfect in both, just in one.
Well, for sure. I mean, we had the tougher road. I understand what you're saying. We had the tougher road, but it's not like they got it just in the bag either, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
No, not at all. But I think that they are just a team right now that's playing really, really well and inspired baseball.
For sure.
And when you're doing that, it creates the opportunities to do it. Yes, I watched the end of that game yesterday. You know what I mean? And I saw. Right. I mean, that last out, he hit that ball hard. There was a good chance that was a walk-off win had it got past the first baseman.
Oh, for sure.
Literally,
for sure.
That could have cleared the bases. So
but I do want to say this. I do want to tip my hat. I want to tip my hat to AJ Hinch because, That guy went through a lot after that 2017 issue. And I think he learned his lesson. He understood, that what he did was wrong. And the guy went to Detroit and, he went to Houston, which was in the dumps, and got us out of the gutter, made us relevant, right? Even though I understand 17 was an issue. Even beyond that, he got us in a good spot. And he did exactly the same thing for Detroit. He took Detroit literally out of the gutter and has got them, like you said, playing inspired baseball in the playoffs. So, you've got to put some mad respect on the guy that can take 2 dumpster fires and turn them into playoff contenders. That's mad respect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you have that. In the meantime, I was also really surprised at how the Mets came out.
Man, they came out.
Sure, absolutely.
Now, I wonder if they play that way again, the Brewers are in trouble.
The Brewers just pulled what the Brewers pull every postseason. They have great regular seasons, and then as soon as the playoffs start, they forget how to play baseball.
Yeah, except they're playing the Mets.
Milwaukee is having.
They're playing the Mets. You could say they do the same thing. So,
what was that, Jay? What were you going to say, Jay?
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Milwaukee is regretting letting Corbin Burns walk or trading him over to the Braves? Or is it the Braves, or is that where he went?
Orioles.
I went to another team. Orioles, thank you.
Do
you think they're having buyer's remorse on that trade?
No, because they weren't going to be able to afford him after this year anyways.
Interesting.
Because they also brought Brandon Woodruff back, and even though Brandon Woodruff didn't pitch this season because he had off-season shoulder surgery, he's still going to be in the rotation next year. Woodruff and Burns are basically the same type of pitcher. Burns is obviously younger and better, but Woodruff is not a bad second option for a fraction of the price. They knew heading into this season that given what Corbin Burns is going to want in free agency, there's no way the Brewers are going to be able to afford him. So instead of letting him walk for nothing, at least they got something for him by trading him to Baltimore.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I think what also is hurting the Brewers, though, is having Christian Yelich on the injured reserve. That hurts. That's a lot of offensive power you're not getting. I definitely look at that. Let's be honest. There's a lot of people that didn't even expect Milwaukee at the beginning of the season to even be here, on all honesty.
Is Christian Yelich an offensive power, though? Because the guy really hasn't produced anywhere close to what he did when he won the MVP the last 4 seasons. He's more so.
Well, that's true.
He's more so playing like he played when he was with Miami. And granted, that's still a good player. He's still a 295, 320 home runs, but he's not the Christian Yelich of 2018 and 2019 when he single-handedly carried the Brewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys get to talk about your teams being in. I'm over here photoshopping a Spirit Halloween into our stadium. At least then our stadium gets used in October. I'm not mad about it at all.
You know what's a good storyline in baseball, and I didn't realize this until I was doing the research for the wild card preview show, was that in the Baltimore Orioles and Royals series, Bobby Witt Jr. and Gunnar Henderson were both 1 and 2 top draft picks in the 19 draft. And now here they are going at each other in the playoffs. And I just think that's a great full circle moment for those guys.
Kyle, I don't think so, because ultimately, I think that the Phillies are going to wind up. The Mets haven't played anybody who's going to be like in that environment, in the Philadelphia environment. It's ridiculously loud. It's one of those situations where you have to be in it to understand it. And trust me, Atlanta went in it and they lost twice. San Diego was in it, they lost. The only team that really was able to make it through was Arizona, and it was because the fan base was exhausted. They weren't as loud as they were before.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Philly, I'm really pulling. Look, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm actually really pulling for you guys because I know eventually it's going to be you and Dodgers most likely going at it. And I just need somebody to smack Jonathan Mathis out of the damn play. This little podcaster, he just talks so much garbage on the Astros that I just need Philly to handle business and get to the World Series so Jonathan Mathis can shut the hell up.
I mean, no, nobody's telling you that you have to listen to him.
Oh, I don't listen to him.
I feel like you can just.
But when he pops up in your feed, he pops up in my feed from time to time, and he just trash talks a lot of the Astros. I need Philly to handle business.
When it ends up in your feed, there's this really neat thing you can do.
I know.
You know what else?
And my wife says that to me all the time. She's like, Jason, you don't gotta sit there and say something. You gotta let it go. And I'm like, sure.
You know what else pops up in my feed, Jay?
Me? Because you love me?
Political ads. You know what I do to them? I ignore them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Oh, here
You
we
know
go.
what else you can do, depending on which feed it's on?
Political
If
memes
it's
are
an
hilarious.
Instagram or Facebook, there's an X up at the top corner. You can hit that X, and you know what? You won't ever have to see them again.
It is true. It's true. But some of those political memes are funny as shit. I gotta tell you, some of them are pretty damn.
Well, see,
some of
and
those guys get
you're
creative.
bringing it on yourself.
But yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you guys, man. But I thought the Orioles going down to the Royals was pretty amazing. You know, I'm starting to look at this Kansas City team a little bit differently.
That was a surprise too. 1-0 score.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that the Orioles had were bats. The fact that they couldn't hit anything yesterday was bad on them. If you watch the Royals, if the Royals the Royals can't win every game like that.
Right.
But so Baltimore better come out with swinging.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because really, you look at the Baltimore team. I mean, they do have little struggles in their pitching, but that really is a good team. And at some point they have to go a little further in the playoffs. And so I'm actually pulling for them to take out Kansas City. But who knows, man? I mean, Kansas City might be the Arizona team. You never know.
No, they limped into the playoffs. They're not going to be like Arizona, who came into.
Nah, I mean, I'm just saying that. Yeah, but for sure. I mean, you never know, though. I mean, hey, baseball is a hell of a thing, man. I mean, you can light up and you can hit that momentum at the right time. You just never know. It's to say no or never. I mean, it's hard to say that.
Well, especially once you get into the playoffs, like
for sure,
anything can happen. That's why we watch.
Well, you're damn right.
I don't think that Brad Kreisen watches any baseball. For him to say the Mets have the worst bullpen, they don't. To say they have a bad lineup, they were top 6 in baseball in runs scored, so they don't have a bad lineup, and their pitchers really haven't been that bad.
I want you to know the stat guy says that with love. Please don't get mad at us.
No, I don't say that with love. I say that with I say that with actually watch baseball, and then you would know that the Mets really are not that bad of a team.
No, but they're also the Mets. So
no, they are also not.
I think Brad's bringing some of that into it. Like
but like the Mets came into the post. We don't
want to piss off our viewers, stat guy, just a little bit.
No, I mean we kind of do. But we only kind of do every day.
I think the biggest issue with the Brewers this year, which is why I think the Brewers are going to get eliminated, whether it's today or tomorrow, is that the Brewers were the first team to clinch a playoff spot in the National League. So they've actually had kind of the mindset of trying to rest some of their players the final 2 weeks of the season, knowing that they clinched already. Versus the Mets stayed hot the rest of the season. They had to play their way into it. And the Mets have been in playoff mode for the last, 6-7 days because they've had to be. The Brewers checked out basically a week ago because they're like, oh, we clinched the division. Now let's rest everybody, line our rotation up for how we want it. And we've seen that every year in the playoffs. When a team does that, usually they're the ones that goes home first.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't disagree with that. But, at the same time, Kyle, before we crown them, let's make sure they get out of this first round.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, it's possible that the Mets do win this series. I don't think I'll be honest. I just don't think that Milwaukee's got the pitching that's going to stop them.
No,
for sure.
the Mets don't have any quit. Like, so they can go into the 8th inning and be down by 3 runs, as we've seen here in the last 4 days. The fact that they took this game 1 was a big one. Now, if they're going to have the letdown, it would be today because of just exhaustion. They played 3 games literally in 24 hours, it seems.
Yep.
So like 36 hours. So they may have a little bit of fatigue.
And then today,
that's what I was talking about yesterday, actually, was, they're going to lose either the first or the second game because at some point they're just going to be tired.
In today's pitching matchup, you have Sean Manaea, who's not a great pitcher, but he's kind of pitched pretty well his last 3 starts for the Mets, versus Frankie Montas, who's been terrible this year.
But that's why I was asking Stagger earlier by Milwaukee trading away Corbin Burns if they were going to have Byron Morris on that, just because that is going to be a little bit more of a weakness in that team. I understand Stagger made a really great point in the financial side of it that they couldn't afford to keep him, but that really did weaken them down a lot in that pitching side.
Well, it did because
even if they get past the Mets, in future series, they can come back to bite them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, even if they would have had Burns would have started yesterday, obviously, for the Brewers. And then the Brewers would have went with Freddie Peralta today. Well, what happens if Freddie Peralta gets lit up today like he did yesterday? That really doesn't help them for game 3 because they don't have any other options after that anyway. So having Burns or not, it might have just extended their season by 1 day.
Switching over real quick to that San Diego versus the Atlanta Braves. Frankie, let me know real quick because, King was at one point a Yankees, and, of course, now he's over there with the the San Diego Padres. And, we looked at him yesterday. 12 strikeouts. The guy was just lighting it up, but I do keep it realistic because Atlanta does not have Acuna and a few other guys. They are dealing with some own, their own issues with Riley and things of that nature. But still, to go in there and strike out 12, good on him. And then, of course, if Atlanta's going to have any chance of bouncing back, the good thing is they got Max Fried on the mound tonight against Musgrove. And so they should have some better pitching on there. But, damn, King went out there and handled the business.
Well, and I think that the 5-hour flight had something to do with that. I think that
for sure,
the difference of the Mets going only two hours, 2.5 hours, to comparison to 5 hours, your body is affected differently.
Oh, for sure.
So,
and you're right. And you're right because the Braves are probably the same, like I said, the same bucket as what the Mets are in. They're tired, especially playing a double hitter, and then the next day the day after, whatever, you got to go into the playoffs. That's a lot. That's a lot, especially when you're down to some injuries. That's a lot.
And for the Braves too, like losing yesterday hurts even more because Max Fried is actually starting tonight, and nobody really knows how many innings Max Fried is going to be able to give you, knowing how injured he's been this year. And if the Braves do somehow advance to tomorrow, Chris Sale was supposed to pitch tomorrow. So they still don't have a game 3 starter lined up to go against Dylan Cease.
What a time for Sale. The guy is a damn good pitcher, but he always gets hurt at the most critical moments, That just seems to be his track record. But every time he gets on the mound, he's just a lights-out guy. But he just cannot stay healthy for crap.
Yeah, you can't shrink in big moments if you're not healthy to play in them.
You know what I mean? It just seems that's the running thing with him. He's got so much potential and factual based stuff, but man, he just can't stay healthy.
Have you ever watched the guy pitch?
I watched him maybe once or twice.
The guy's got the most unorthodox windup and release. I'm surprised he hasn't blown his shoulder out way more than he has.
Yeah, the mechanics do play a big part in your longevity for sure, right? How long do sidearm pitch? I don't know if there's even any sidearm pitchers left in the league, but typically,
it's more relievers. It's more relievers.
Huh?
It's more relievers that throw sidearm, and if you throw sidearm and you're a decent reliever, you could probably go 15, 16 years just because it's pretty much fastball, slider, changeup, but it's all coming from the same arm slot. It's just a different spin.
And you could extend your career if you do some yoga, Pilates. You can do some of that right here in the Pacific Northwest. True Fusion Gym. You use a QR code on the screen, a free 5-day pass. Pilates, boot camp, yoga. They also have hot rooms. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. And, of course, if you are into sports betting, you can bet right alongside us here at Coast to Coast. if you use the QR code on the screen with Bet Us, 125% of your initial deposit, up to 3 of those. Also a 10% bet guarantee if you happen to be bad at it. Some exclusions apply. Check it out online at the QR code right there. All right. So, switching over to some football. Davante Adams officially, on the trade block. Where, obviously, Stat Guy was thinking his team could definitely use him, but
I don't think we could use him. I just think it'd be fun to have him.
Well, it'd be interesting.
If he goes to the Minnesota Vikings, you might as well just give the damn Super Bowl trophy because that is going to be one juggernaut of an offense. Literally.
I mean, your defensive push up front better be elite because you're going to have to go blow Darnold up all day.
Well, that was what I was talking with my friend about that yesterday. Like, just hypothetically, if Minnesota got Davante Adams, they said they'd be willing to give Jalen Nailor to the Raiders and a second-round pick and an additional third-round pick. So basically 2 draft picks and Jalen Nailor would go to the Raiders. So now you put Jordan Addison, Davante Adams, and Justin Jefferson as your receivers, with Hawkinson coming back in 2 weeks, and you still have Aaron Jones. You wouldn't be able to blitz Sam Darnold because you would literally have to play single coverage on all 4 of those guys. And all 4 of those guys in single coverage are going to eat you up.
Yeah, this is kind of what everybody's thinking, is the Jets are going to find a way to do it.
As much as people say that, I don't think so because Davante Adams is going from one shithole of an organization that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Why would he want to go to another shithole of an organization that doesn't know what they're doing?
But they're not a complete joke. I mean, they're still doing pretty decent in the standings. I think Davante Adams, that's a true number 1 for Aaron Rodgers along with Lazard. And Breece Hall, I don't know if that's all the way bad. I mean, that could work.
I don't know if you can talk down about Garrett Wilson that way. Like,
no, I think ultimately, I think he ultimately is going to end up in Baltimore. Is where I think he's going to end up.
That would be interesting.
That'd be horrible.
Just because Baltimore's got Zay Flowers, who is their number 1 receiver, but I don't think he's a true number 1. I think he's more of a slot. And then they still have Rashad Bateman as well.
Don't do that, Joe. Ain't nobody want to see that.
I mean, there's people that want to see it, but it's never going to happen because the Raiders will never trade him within their own division.
Yeah, definitely not.
Especially when he's got 2 years left.
That said, if Miami had Joe Flacco, that they would be serious playoff contenders, which I mean, that might not be a bad idea.
Well, I mean, based on the fact that just look at their offensive production. I mean, anything.
Without Tua, Tyreek Hill is literally a non-factor.
He is a non-factor. You might as well put him at running back and see if you can get some, or make him Debo, like a Debo type thing.
So some of that was coaching for sure, because Huntley can throw further downfield than they were letting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he only took 2 shots at Hill downfield, right? Were they good throws? Not particularly. I think he overthrew him both times. But the thing is he's been there for a week. Like, It's not like he has a ton of reps. So he's got to try and figure out that speed. Letting him try twice and then everything else is like a shallow cross or an out isn't exactly how you're going to get timing worked out, especially when you're going against, a team that isn't putting up a ton of points either. So I feel like a lot of that fell on coaching. Not that I think Huntley is amazing or anything, but they certainly could have looked better if they gave him a little bit more of the playbook to play with.
And the other thing too is, depending on how things continue with Miami and depending on the situation of Tua and just his health this year and his health beyond this year, obviously, there are some, I'm not going to call them rumors yet, but there are some kind of conversations being had that Tyreek Hill may end up back in Kansas City.
That would be interesting based on all of his talking he did on his way out.
And honestly, I think Kansas City would take him back.
Well, of course they would.
Of course they would. I mean, that's the only way he's going to resurrect his career is by getting a good, competent quarterback that can get him the rock.
I mean, imagine, you win a ring, you leave because you wanted more money. You kind of talk a lot of shit on your way out. You come back. Everybody else that's still there is like, oh, yeah, we got a couple more of those little shiny things that you kept saying you were going to win somewhere else.
I can already imagine how he talks to them. So I know I talk some shit, but can we just put that by the wayside? I'll give you a heartfelt apology, and you just put me back into your rotation.
You'd have the men's 4x100 relay with Worthy and Tyreek Hill.
I mean, that's true.
Man, could you imagine that? Could you imagine a featured Tyreek Hill, a healthy Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy, and then Kelce? I mean, damn.
Well, I mean, Kelce hasn't done anything. Jared Goff has more touchdown receptions than he does.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. Man, well, hey, I'm about to say, compared to all the other years, I mean, he really has taken a step back this season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they really haven't got him that involved. It's kind of surprising.
Why? Why all of a sudden are they not getting him involved? Are teams just doubling them up or playing them harder, or anything? Or is it just
Yeah. I mean, he has had quite a bit of that where he's been double teamed.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I guess they're willing to let Worthy and whoever else beat him versus Kelce beating them, which I kind of understand that.
Yeah, it seems like you'd be able to find a way to scheme him open though a little more than they have been, but still, it gets other guys in one-on-one and they're fast, so can't hate on that. Any updates on your guys?
No.
Yeah.
Not that I heard of. But soon we'll just hear something. Yeah, I'm more concerned about Lane Johnson. I want Lane Johnson to be playing. And he should be playing back. He'll be back next week. We don't play this week, so we're going to be fine.
Oh, that's right. You had an early bye. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You have your bye already. You have your bye this week already?
Yep.
Yeah, all the first buys are week 5. I don't love a week 5 bye. That is the worst.
I agree.
The only time I like it is in Minnesota situation when they're out in London and then they get the bye the week after that.
No, I mean that's
for rest purpose. That'd be practical. Totally get that.
Well, I mean, there was a couple teams last year that refused the bye after the London game.
Oh yeah.
I think because
again, just an early bye sucks because if you end up with anybody banged up, it doesn't give you a chance to really have a week off and get people reset, healthy, whatever. I much prefer a week 10 bye week.
Week 9, week 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless
let me ask you a question. Did you ever think a scenario would come about where Washington would be at the top of our division?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, it's not like – so this is preseason right now. That's how I look at this. This is still preseason. The first 4 weeks are all preseason games, even though they count, and this is where teams start to fix things and get right. I have no doubts in my mind that the Eagles are a lot better team than they showed the other day. And they didn't want to play in the heat and blah, blah, blah. That's really what it was. I don't think it has anything to do with, did the heat affect them? Yeah, they didn't want to play. So that's what happened.
I just thought it was interesting that, when I look at the Eagles, you guys were bounced out of the playoffs by Tampa. The very next time you play them again is in the regular season, and you get decimated by Tampa. It's almost like Tampa just has that full circle moment on you guys. Now, I don't think that you're going to stay down that low. I do fully expect, Philly to bounce back. Because like you said the other day, you guys have a lot of talent on that team to not bounce back. I just wonder how much of a liability is Kellen Moore to you guys as he was to us in San Diego. And what do you expect if you guys don't bounce back? Would you fully expect Kellen Moore to be gone next season?
Well, if you don't bounce back, there's a lot of questions about that team.
For sure.
Yeah. I can't speak intelligently about Kellen Moore. It's like I think that it's still the jury's out on him in Philadelphia. So, I mean, he has had a lot of success and, he's also been very predictable. So it's hard. I mean, like I said, doing shows with Cowboys fans for as long as I have known all about Kellen Moore. So the fact that he's come here, the one problem I have is that it never works out for any Eagle to go to Dallas or any Cowboy to come to Philly.
For sure.
Never works out. And this is still that thing to me, I feel like. So he's not shown me anything that makes me believe that he is the end all be all of what's going on.
I will tell you, when I first heard that Kellen Moore was going from San Diego, or I keep saying San Diego, from LA down to you guys, I just thought to myself, that is the worst thing that Philly ever could have done. I feel like that was going to be the cancer to your team. And I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope you guys do bounce back, because I like to see a more competitive side of you guys. As much as I'm a Cowboys fan, I do appreciate competitiveness. And I really think that hurt you guys taking him on. And hopefully maybe y'all can square that away. But again, he's so damn predictable that he's easy to game plan against from a defensive coordinator side of it.
Maybe, it's like and the hard part is that it's hard to tell whether it's him or Nick or both. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So,
I will tell you, I think you guys were playing much better and more consistently before he got there. So that's why I don't think it's so much Nick. I think this is more the play calling side of Kellen Moore.
I'll be honest. I don't think Belichick comes here.
No, I haven't even heard his. I've only heard his name linked to 2 teams.
I've heard him linked to Dallas.
That's one of them, and then the other one just emerged. The other one just emerged yesterday.
But I will tell you this, and I said this on the show, if Belichick does come to Dallas, he better bring freaking Josh McDaniels with him and get rid of the bozo we got right now. Well, I think if he brings Josh McDaniels with Belichick, that would be a legitimate combination of coaching that would really help.
If it's Bill, everybody's gone anyway.
Yeah.
That's already there.
The other team that actually popped up yesterday is one to keep an eye on, because it could ultimately have Belichick back in the NFL this year.
Jacksonville?
Yep. Jacksonville.
Belichick already said that he wouldn't want to come back till 2025.
Well, Jacksonville came up actually yesterday as a possible spot, and Belichick was basically talking about how much he likes Trevor Lawrence, how much respect he has for Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback. So if Doug Peterson gets fired, Jacksonville has a shit ton of salary cap space next year in free agency.
See, if there was ever a team that needed the bye week at week 5, it would be Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. After what they've been through.
Yeah, I mean,
they need like a reset.
Yeah, they have a bye week in 2 weeks, because they go to London next week to face the Chicago Bears, and then they have the bye week after that.
Yeah. No, that would be
goes there, and all that cap space that Jacksonville's going to have next year. Belichick could turn that team around quick.
Yeah, so we know that Peterson's already there. The thing is
he's not there. He's basically being held on by his belt right now before they just push him off the ledge.
No, exactly. They're 1-9 in their last 10 if you go back into last season. So I mean, they're not exactly he's not on sure footing. In fact, he was in a press conference after this last game. They asked him if he thought his job was in jeopardy. He said no, but it was the most uninspired no ever, right? He's like,
I mean, that's like one of those things. Like, what is he supposed to say? Like, he's
of course he's
going to be like, well, I don't think I'm going to be here tomorrow. Yeah, or I don't know if I'm going to be here next week. Like, what is he supposed to say?
Yeah. So I mean,
but he knows damn well he knows damn well that his seat is not only hot, but he knows damn well that he's sinking in quicksand right now.
Oh yeah, I mean that seat is on fire now. If they go to London and lose, that's a good shot that during the bye they could make a move. I could see that.
They could make the move on the 14-hour plane ride home.
He may not be on that plane. We've seen teams do that. They're like, it's been fun. Thanks for helping out. Find your own way home.
Enjoy another week in London.
I like what Joe said in the comments. So he said Jaguars will win their game this Sunday against Cleveland. I think Cleveland could be at least from a momentum standpoint, right, or whatever, a good team for Jacksonville to play since they're a dumpster fire.
I mean,
right?
the way Jacksonville's been playing, they're not going to win a game against anybody for a while. Like they look horrific.
They legitimately don't look like they know how to play football.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
They are near the bottom of the league in every category there is, and in all three phases of the game. They're not even good on special teams. It's amazing.
Like this team has gone from being one of those up and coming teams in the AFC like a year and a half ago to basically hitting rock bottom.
Well, and from the sounds of it, there is a real disconnect between Peterson and Lawrence. There's been some disagreements, right? And then, forcing him to play because Lawrence is wanting to do some of his own play calling out on the field. He's had a couple where it was like dictated, you have to do this, and then it doesn't work. So then that adds to more, issues on the sideline. So, I mean, it looks like this is going to be short-lived if they don't get something in the win column real soon.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Jacksonville's pulling off the daily double again this year.
Right.
They have back-to-back games in London.
Yeah.
So actually, technically speaking, when they go in London, Doug Peterson would have to go home if they fired him because they're not going to keep him in London for an extra week.
Oh, they have a bye week in between?
No, they don't. They're in London back-to-back weeks. So they play
Okay.
week 7, they're in London against Chicago, and then the following week they're in London against the Patriots.
Okay.
And then they don't even have a bye week after that. Then they play the 27th. Their bye week's not until November 4th.
Yeah,
we play Jacksonville November 4th.
So that's even later than that? So, yeah, Jacksonville doesn't have their bye until mid-November. So, yeah, they're probably a good 5 games out of their bye yet. So, I mean, if they lose this week to Cleveland, do you make that move before the team goes to London, or do you let them get to London and then see what happens?
No, you're not doing that before you go to London. It'll be on their way back.
Actually, if that's the case, they won't fire him this year.
Yeah, I was about to say they might as well just write them out and then bring it back next year. Because if you go up there and you lose those games, now you're 0-6 at that point.
Exactly. At that point, now you are you want to keep them because you want to lose the rest and get yourself
try to get them draft picks.
Yeah.
At least you get something out of the deal, right? I mean,
at that point, you got to think about it like that because saying that they're staying with Lawrence, then you got at least now you've got an ability to get like the next couple of years of draft picks of first draft.
And in truthfulness, I would use this time period, these next whatevers until the end of the season to start if you are going to replace them, or if you do make up your mind you're going to replace them, that gives you a lot of time to interview candidates for the head coaching spot before you get to the offseason. That way you can get a new guy in there as quick as possible and start implementing his culture that he wants. So the sooner you can get that process knocked out, the better you are. So that might actually be helpful.
Yeah.
I doubt that you can do that. Like you can't bring in candidates.
You can't interview in season.
You can't. I mean, even if they're not with teams, like for example, I'm just using Belichick's.
If they're not with a team,
they're not with a team, of course.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just using other ones that are out there that may be available.
If it's Belichick, they can interview a Belichick whenever. But if it's like a coordinator that they like Brian Flores or somebody like that.
No, I understand that because it is tampering. I get all that. So, but like you said, if Belichick is one of the teams, then why not bring him in and start giving him, an interview and start thinking about that?
Sure. I mean, Vrabel's floating around out there too.
Oh, yeah. And I don't even think Josh McDaniels has a job. So
he won't get another. I can see now. This would be funny.
Bring
Belichick in as Jaguars head coach. Vrabel comes with him to be the defensive coordinator. McDaniels comes with him to be the OC.
That's not a bad idea.
Because they've done that before in New England, and it's worked quite a bit.
That's what I'm saying.
Together.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had marginal success.
They had marginal success, like 4 Super Bowls in 6 years with those 3 coaches.
No big deal.
I'm not saying they're going to have the same success now, but that would not shock me at all to see that scenario play out. If Belichick gets hired as the head coach, he brings Vrabel in as his DC, and he brings McDaniels in as OC.
Yeah, I don't see the Lawrence Brady parallel, but sure. Yeah.
No, I'm
Otherwise,
just saying, just the way those guys have worked together before, like when Belichick was the coach.
sure.
Like Vrabel knows what to expect, McDaniels knows what to expect. Belichick trusts both of them to do what they do.
So I know we only got a few minutes left, but I did, Bo. I know last time we talked about, I was telling you about my fantasy defense and how I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. So what I wound up doing was I let go of Seattle and I picked up the Broncos because the Broncos got the Raiders this year or this week.
Okay.
So that's how I knocked that one out. So that way I didn't have to put the Steelers against the Cowboys. I figured that was a much better matchup, Broncos versus the Raiders. So
no question. Yeah.
Well, and the Broncos have only let up like what, 30 points all season?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
And brings Brady back as his backup. I mean, he'd have to really be thinking on TV.
Yeah,
for him to come back.
He's not leaving that lucrative broadcasting contract.
Yeah, no, I think at this point he's actually done. That being said, that does bring us to the end of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, we will see you all tomorrow.
Later.
Have fun.